thank you, and welcome. We back with episode 4 of the positive. That positive. You can't use that positive shit for everything, but this is still a positive network. I don't know what this show would be called, but the let me put it in there real quick. I'm gonna put the topic for tonight just in case some people don't know. A lot of people know what the topic is already, but some people don't know. Is the TV too loud? Let me turn the TV off. All right, that's joint off. The topic for tonight is. I gotta turn this off because he keeps talking and turn this off. All right, the topic for tonight. Let me put it in there. I can't make it. I can't make it. Hello, everyone. And welcome to welcome to After Dark with Dark. Welcome to welcome. How about that? Hello, everyone, and welcome. Waving hand, smiley face, smiley face. Regular smile, regular smile, and waving hand. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Let me put exclamation points so you know I'm excited to see them. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. So excited to see you. Okay, and now I will put the topic at tonight. Tonight's topic is what does ass taste like to you? In quotation marks. That's not quotation marks. Whatever them things is, inside there it says the first. This is. This motherfucker like, it tastes like chicken to me. Who the fuck he think he is? Okay. So tonight's topic is what does ass taste like to you? There are 5 people watching, at least 4 of you eat ass. What does ass taste like to you? There are 8 people watching, at least 7 of you eat ass. What does ass taste like to you? There are 8 people watching, at least 7 of you eat ass. What does ass? And the first person to say chicken will be punched in the face. 3 people eat ass, that's why they left. So now there's 5 watching, and 4 you still eat ass. What does ass taste like to you? The first person who says chicken will be punched in the face by everybody else in the room. Don't disrespect chicken. Tonight, I want to take y'all through my eBay page because I've been promoting, like, telling people, like, yeah, get on that eBay shit and selling used shit. and I'm not taking you to my eBay page. I'm just going to show you some of the prices that some things are going for. And the first thing I could think of is the Atari 2600 because I sold one. They may not be you may not see people buying them for a lot because most Atari 2600 consoles people are selling them broke. But I try to see one that's together and see if okay, you probably got one of these old ass Ataris in your joint. This person is selling this for $75, $69, 74.99, 119.99, uh 139.99, but they selling theirs with games and shit. And what else you might have in your basement is a DVD, VCR player, not DVD player, VCR player. You might be old school up in your basement. A VCR player, they are selling for. This person is selling their VCR joint for 200. You got a cheap one, broke 65, 70 is working. Let me see. That 200, I think that was the highest one. So $33. I think I got that one too. $58, $70, and that's some bullshit just sitting in your basement. A fucking VCR joint. You know what other kind of bullshit you might have sitting in your basement, depending who you are, and a Cabbage Patch doll. Let's see how much people are selling Cabbage Patch dolls for. 200 for brown haired doll with birth and adoption certificate. They selling the motherfuckers for $2. 179.99, 180, 125, 120, $70, 295. And some of these don't even look like the real Cabbage Patches either. But these you probably got sitting in your basement or attic or what have you. What else you might have sitting in your attic or basement or whatever. Well, we all use. I don't know, man. I don't know a motherfucker that saved them baseball cards. I remember when we was fucking with them a little bit. You know what I mean? We had basketball cards too. I remember we was fucking with them a little bit, but I don't know anybody that personally. I don't know anybody that got like baseball cards and shit like that. But you already know them motherfuckers worth some money. I don't even think we really gotta go through that. You already know some of them, and if you got baseball cards, you know which ones. So we ain't gonna go through that. I don't know shit about baseball cards, but I know a lot of people was into baseball cards and shit. And let me see what else you might have in your basement back there that you're not even fucking thinking about. Uh, what else did we have in the good old 80s? Uh, Pac-Man. Let's say you got some Pac-Man shit in your crib, some original Pac-Man shit you might have. I don't know. Let's see what come up when I say Pac-Man. Pac-Man was big, and they sell Pac-Man. See, this is newer Pac-Man shit. I would need a specific what you call them, like a Pac-Man handheld mini game. Maybe I was wrong about fucking Pac-Man. I don't see much of much. Cause I was wrong about Pac-Man. Okay, I don't know if y'all remember these. You remember these? I'm sorry. I don't know if you have one sitting around in your basement, but remember the Walkman? Let's see what we could do with Walkman. Walkman cassette player. 25. These ain't Walkman cassette players. These the kids, so I gotta wait till I find. I gotta check these. All right, that's $25, and that's probably a joint you got for $5. That Kobe joint, I remember that joint. That's when they ain't even getting to the old school motherfucking joints. Sony Walkman cassette player, 120. just a cassette player. It's not a Walkman. See, they ain't that. See, they got a lot of motherfuckers that got cassette players. They don't have Walkmans. Okay, they go Walkman, $80. I had a Walkman from prison and shit. It was AMF from John. Oh, so it wasn't a Walkman. That's gonna have to take that. Let's see. Well, that's $85 Walkman. See, they got a lot of them joints down there. Let's see. Walkman. Yeah. I don't know, man. But you look at the shit you got. You won't even have to start typing the shit. All you gotta do is point your phone at it, and it'll tell you exactly how much that shit been selling for. All you gotta do is point your phone at the shit, and it'll tell you exactly how much that shit been selling for. You got shit, and then you don't even know what it is. You get eBay, and you get that shit, and you read how to do this and read how to do that, and you point your phone at that motherfucker, and it'll tell you exactly how much the motherfucker's been selling for. eBay is not a bad fucking side hustle. I know you looking at me like you ain't even got no fucking money. That's true. That is true. But it doesn't change the fact that eBay is a really good fucking side hustle, man. It really fucking is. And you could do this shit from right where you are. You ain't got to go get a 4 hour get period. That motherfucker gonna sell. I mean, you gonna have to promote that shit, but that's what you got all your social media joints for and all these friends and potential customers. You know what I'm saying? Like at eBay, that shit ain't bad, man. And I don't know if y'all know, but there's a joint that I do on Mondays called Side Hustle Mondays. And every Monday I come up with a new side hustle suggestion that you can do from home. That's the most important thing. You know what I mean? You going out working and you come home from work and you could make some more fucking money from home. And I'm gonna play a couple samples from these books because if I just keep talking about mouth forget parts or whatever. But yeah, that's why I got my Sprite right here. But the question of the night is, what do ass taste like? And the first person that says chicken will have a bag put over their head and the shit beat out of them. What does ass taste like? Don't disrespect chicken. We're not going to do that. We are not going to do that. That's people first go to when they taste something they never tasted before. It tastes like chicken. Very disrespectful to chicken. Nothing tastes like chicken. And a lot of y'all, myself included, when that boat came, if it was chicken on that bitch and like fried, you could smell it, you would have got on that bitch. So would I. If it was Popeyes, I'd have got on that motherfucker. If it was Popeyes, I'd have got on that motherfucker. Guarantee. If it was Popeyes, I would have got on that motherfucker. I'm telling you. If it was Popeyes chicken, I would have got on that fucking boat. Popeyes chicken, man. Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, this is, see, I don't really want to do this, John, because most of the excuse me, most of the, alright, let's do the Philly Commission. This is, the Philly Commission. I'm going to start with part one. Part one ain't going to have a lot of, the audible in it. Part one, they kind of messed up because I messed up. They ain't messed up. I messed up because I kind of put too much of the, they got the table of contents and that shit like 20 something chapters, so that take up a lot of the time from you being able to listen to the audio. But I'm gonna play a little sample from there, and then I'm gonna do part two, then I'm gonna do part three. And if you heard it already, then why you ain't read it yet? It's like, no, but I'm saying if you heard it already, I apologize, but that's what I'm gonna do tonight. And the Kindle is $2.99 to buy, but if you got Amazon Prime, you can get it free. Audio book, you get it free with a membership. $7.95 a day, and you can cancel before the first bill come. At any day on day 29, you get 30 days. You can cancel on day 29 if you want. You can listen to all the books that you want for free. But if you keep it, then you continue to keep all the books. I guess I don't know. But the paperback is $9.99. The listening time is 5 hours and 8 minutes. This is the description of the book. Local police labeled them a threat to the safety of the city. The feds labeled them a continuing criminal enterprise. People in the street who weren't connected labeled them a group of violent homies or a gang. They were all of the above and much more. They were the Philly Commission, and they had their hands in damn near every bit of money, legal and illegal, that came through the city of Philadelphia since 1986. The Philly Commission was created by Brian Byrd Kennedy in 1985. He was only 13 years old when he formed the commission. It was originally created to be just another drug gang, but Byrd saw the potential to make much more money by doing more than simply selling drugs. There was plenty more money running around in the streets, and he wanted his share of all of it. His plan was to control all of the city, legal and illegal, and stay out of prison while doing it. And this is the sample from the book, but like I said, most of it is part one is filled up with the with the
This title is narrated with virtual is a work of fiction. Get
through
all books and paperback from Your Plans. Chapter 6, Here Like No Other.
Chapter 1, Humble Beginnings. Jan, 1985. Who wants to come to the blackboard and solve the first equation? Miss Powell asked as she scanned the classroom for volunteers. Most of the students looked away or put their heads down, hoping not to be called on to solve the equation in front of the class. Miss Powell shook her head in disappointment when she saw this. They'd been studying this for weeks, and nobody seemed to be learning anything. Miss Powell suddenly broke out into a wide grin when she saw one little hand eagerly waving from all the way in the back of the classroom. Brian, you think you can solve this equation? Brian double-checked the work on his paper before he spoke. Yes, ma'am. Well, come up here and show me. Brian confidently walked to the blackboard. He knew he had the right answer, and he wanted to show Miss Powell that he knew it. Truth be told, fractions and multiplication was easy for him. It was almost too easy. As a matter of fact, any kind of math was easy to him. Brian was leaps and bounds smarter than everyone else in the class, and he loved taking every opportunity to show everyone exactly how smart he was. He had no idea how or why he picked up on math so easily. All he knew was that he loved counting, and that was all the motivation he needed. Brian easily solved the equation and walked back to his seat in the back of the classroom like it wasn't a big deal. He didn't seek attention or praise. All he wanted to do was let everyone know that he was the smartest person in the room. Brian was only in the 8th grade, but he was already sure that he knew where his life was headed, and he knew that adding and subtracting would be a big part of his life forever. Brian Kennedy was the youngest of 9 siblings. He had 4 sisters and 4 brothers. Brian and his family lived in a 3-bedroom house on 10th and Dauphin Streets in the heart of North Philly. The housing authority house that they now lived in was a major upgrade from the 2-bedroom apartment in the Fairhill projects that they'd been living in until 2 years ago.
that was the Philly Commission Part 1. Now this is Part 2. It did Part 1. That was on me. That was on me. But this is Part 2 from the beginning. I mean, not from the beginning, but you know, this is Part 2. I messed that up. Part 1, I messed it up. All right, Part 2. The Kindle is $3.99, or you get it free if you have Amazon Prime. The audio book, they got the membership trial. Like I said, you read it for free. And the paperback, the Part 2 is $9.99. This is the description. After the fallout between Byrd and Trey, the commission looks as if it might be falling apart. The brotherhood has been broken beyond repair, and it seems as though everyone is scrambling to choose sides. It's hard to trust anyone, but like always, life goes on, and so does business. The heat is on for Trey and his team after the Tasker Street massacre. Everyone is looking for a place to hide out at except for Trey. He doesn't change up his lifestyle one bit, even though he knows he's a wanted man. He and Diana flee his home to escape arrest. Trey and Diana look for a safe place to hide from the cops while Trey plots on getting back at Bird and taking control of the commission the whole time. Bird was rich enough to get out of the game and the street life for good, but the game kept calling him back. When they called, he answered. Bird heads back to Philly in the hopes of putting the commission back together. He hoped to make the squad stronger and better than it was before. He refused to let this thing he built from scratch die. He wanted to take things to the next level. To get to that next level, he would need the help of the local mafia. That turns out to be not such a good idea, and Bird finds himself in over his head this time. This is not like a normal street war. This is a war that Bird comes to realize he is totally unprepared for. While off at college, Man meets a sweet girl named Jamisha. She appears to be a good, wholesome girl who comes from a good family. Looks can be deceiving, though. That chick is crazy. Jamisha becomes Man's ride or die chick. She's down for whatever, and Man falls head over heels in love with her. Man is sure that she's the woman he wants to sleep next to every night and spend the rest of his life with. But it's kind of hard to have to sleep with one eye open every night. The commissioner is back in business and back to knocking any and all competition out the box. Some of the old enemies are still around, and the commission manages to make a bunch of new ones too. Control of the streets of Philadelphia is still up for grabs, and just like always, there can only be one winner. There is 4 hours and 50 cent listening time for the audio, and this is the sample.
This title is near work of fiction. Knows. Return Girl 2. Bird's thinking proved to be right once again when he told Trey that everyone involved in the bloody massacre at Tasker Projects would be locked up in a couple of weeks. Everybody that was with Trey that day was now in custody. The police had even arrested some people who they knew weren't involved in the shooting and threatened them with long prison sentences. They were sure that someone would lead them to the mastermind behind this heinous crime. And they did. At least 4 people flipped on Trey in the hope that they could save their own asses. Trey was now on the run from the law. Strangely enough, he wasn't even running. If the law looked in the right place, he would be very easy to find. Trey and Diana were still living at their beach house. They were still snorting plenty of coke, and they were still throwing huge house parties every night. The police was the last thing on Trey's mind right now. He was formulating a master plan to off Bird, Man, and Vern and take control of the commission for himself. He had everything mapped out except for one very important detail. He didn't have a squad to move out against Bird and the others with him. All of his peoples were locked up and probably snitching on him right now. He would take care of all of them bitches in a minute, too. Bird was first on the list, though. His bitch ass had this coming for a long time. Trey didn't have a squad behind him right now, but he had the next best thing, money. And Trey and Diana still had plenty of that left over from the big diamond heist. Trey moved about like he wasn't a wanted man. Being on the run had not changed his daily routine one bit. Trey woke up, stretched, and reached over on his night table for the small mirror full of coke that he was snorting off of last night. He looked at the mirror and frowned. He knew he left at least 10 lines on the mirror before he fell asleep last night, and now there was barely 1 line left on the mirror. Trey snorted the line and got out of the bed. He looked down at Diana, who was knocked out and probably having dreams about snorting some coke when she woke up. Junkie bitch snorted all my shit? I'ma have to start stashing on her nut ass. Trey jumped in the shower and took his time getting dressed after he finished. He walked out of the bedroom and went downstairs to his huge living room. There were people sleeping everywhere, and barely a path to walk through. The house was a complete mess. There was empty liquor bottles and trash everywhere. This was not surprising to Trey. This was an everyday thing. His housekeeper would be here by noon. She would clean this shit up.
That was part 2 of the Philly Commission, These Streets Are Mine. This is part 3 of the Philly Commission. It is Niggas Done Started Something. This is part 3 of the Philly Commission. The Kindle is $2.99. Free if you got Amazon Prime. The audiobook, you get those free with a membership. And that's it. It's not this one. Part 3 is not in paperback. This is the description of part 3. Don't look now, but there are some new players in town. The Philly Commission 2.5. Oh yeah, this was supposed to be called 2.5, but they wouldn't let me put 2.5, so I had to put 3. But this is supposed to be 2.5. It's just to let you know what's going on with everybody and how things got to where part 3 was going to start. Because there, between part 2 and part 3, a lot happened between that time. So this was like 2. You know. The Philly Commission 2.5 is a prequel to the Philly Commission Part 3 and an official introduction to some of the new players in the game. The Philly Commission 2.5 is also an update on some of your favorite characters from parts 1 and 2. Spoiler alert, Bird ain't dead. He is, however, mad as hell and very paranoid. Bird has no idea who shot him or why. The one thing that he does know is that he can't trust anybody. To have a person like Bird thinking this way is bad news and a very dangerous thing for everybody he has ever done business with. In Bird's absence, Man has mysteriously reappeared. Man has no plans to run the family the same way that Bird did, though. Man's plan is to do the direct opposite of everything that Bird has done. That includes making former allies into enemies and making former enemies into allies, including Trey, who is dealing with some issues of his own at the moment. Trey is still awaiting trial for the Tasker Street massacre. Trey's world is shaken up when Holmesburg, the prison that he was in while awaiting trial, suddenly closes. Trey and most of the other inmates are transferred to the newly opened CFCF jail right across the street. The new jail is right across the street from the old one, but the two jails are as different as night and day. Trey's whole business and survival is suddenly in jeopardy with the change. With no other options left for him, Trey takes a shot in the dark and reaches out to Ramil, who he befriended while locked up back in Chicago. That one phone call puts a series of events into motion that will drastically change everything for everyone. The story ain't over. Alliances have shifted and players in the game have been lost. But like always, there's money to be made and the commission are looking to be the ones to make it. And this is a sample from the Philly Commission Part 3, Niggas Done Started Something.
This title was narrated with virtual. Wait, hold up. Ain't you coming with me? JB turned around and smiled at Bird as he shook his head. Seconds later, he disappeared into the thick white clouds. Chapter 1.
Don't forget, the question of the night is, what does ass taste like? Chicken is not a legitimate answer. What does ass taste like? Chicken will not be taken as an answer. Accepted as an answer.
This title was narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Philly Commission Part 3 by Kareem Rockman. Chapter 1. Still here. February 1995. You know what you gotta do.
Sorry.
This title was narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Philly Commission, Part 3, by Kareem Rockman. Chapter 1. Still here. February 1995. You know what you gotta do. Now open your eyes and do the shit. JB yelled at Bird before he turned around and started to walk away. Bird yelled back at him frantically. Wait, hold up, ain't you coming with me? JB turned around and smiled at Bird as he shook his head. Seconds later, he disappeared into the thick white clouds. Bird panicked. He was here all alone. JB had been his only friend here, and now he was gone. What the hell was he supposed to do now? What if the black, half-man, half-horse things came back to attack him? Who would help him fight them this time? JB had been the only one here to help him before. Bird was terrified. He surely wouldn't be able to fight all of them off alone. Bird started walking in the direction that JB had walked in before he disappeared. Seconds later, he heard the sound of the hooves of the half-man, half-horse creatures. Bird took off running. Dr. Minor, he's opening his eyes. Dr. Minor stopped looking at Nurse Mixed Chick's ass in her tiny nurse's skirt and raced to the bedside of his patient. He pulled out his small pocket light. Dr. Minor flashed the light directly into Bird's eyes. Can you hear me, Mr. Kennedy? Yes. Bird could hear Dr. Minor's voice loud and clear, and he wanted to tell him so. The problem was that his mouth wouldn't cooperate with what his mind was thinking. Bird tried to move his arms and legs. They weren't cooperating either. Bird frantically looked at Dr. Minor. Dr. Minor placed a hand on Bird's shoulder in an attempt to calm him down. It's all right, Mr. Kennedy. You're fine. Nurse Mixed Chick, pass me my stethoscope, please. Nurse Mixed Chick passed the doctor his utensils. Dr. Minor checked Bird's heart rate and pulse. He nodded when he was satisfied with the results. Mr. Kennedy, you were shot. You've been in a coma for the last 37 days. You have undergone 4 surgeries. You're going to be fine as far as I can tell. That's the good news. The bad news is that some major arteries were hit when you got shot. Thankfully, none of the bullets you took hit any places that would permanently paralyze you, but you do have a very tough road ahead of you. It's going to take extensive therapy to get you back to where you were before the shooting. You're going to have to get familiar with your body again. Doing things that had once come easily for you are going to be a challenge. Even things as simple as speaking, as you've already found out. Bird closed his eyes and hoped that when he opened them again, he would be anywhere else but laying here listening to this peacock-faced doctor talking about how he was basically going to be like a child again. This shit was ridiculous. And why was this happening? Because somebody had the nerve to run up on him and pump him full of bullets. Him, Bird, a man who could have a person killed with the snap of a finger or the blink of an eye. Who the hell would have the nerve or heart to even think about trying to take him out? There was quite a long list of suspects, even though Bird's ego wouldn't allow him to believe that. First, there were the predictable suspects. 1. Johnny French, of course. It was more than likely that Johnny French had connected Bird to his nephew Vinny's death. Unless, of course, Vinny had went out on his own and kidnapped Aiden. That would be good for Bird because for all Johnny French would know, his nephew could have been killed in a drug deal gone bad or something. There was nobody left to tell him otherwise. Mon and Jamisha had taken care of Vinny's bodyguards, who were the only 2 witnesses to the whole thing. If Johnny French was the person who Bird shot, then Bird was going to need an army to get back at him. Not an army in the cool usage of the word, like a bunch of homies with guns kind of army. It was going to take a real army to get at Johnny French. Like Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines kind of shit. Johnny French was now New York's numero uno crime boss. He was surrounded by all kinds of security and protection around the clock. 2. Dutchie and his AMAN clique. Bird had been sleeping on the crew, and that may have been a mistake. AMAN were looking to take over the city. To do something like this, they would definitely need to take Bird and the commission out sooner or later. Then there were the possible suspects. 1. Trey. Bird and Trey had pretty much called a truce.
That was the Philly Commission Part 3. Niggas done started something. That's a series. That's a good series. If you got the series, and let me do a standalone genre. 'Cause some people like standalone genres too. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Let's do. I know what's going on. Let's do a gun for hire. This is a gun for hire. 99 cents for the Kindle. You get it free if you got Amazon Prime. The audio book with the membership, we spoke on that, and there's no paperback for this one. It is. Let me see. 3 hours and 7 minutes long listening time. The description says JJ was a loner. He'd always been this way, even though he didn't realize it. JJ's loners JJ's loner ways led him to the perfect occupation for a person like him, a hired assassin. JJ quickly became one of the best at his job. Being the best required a few things from him: steady work, practice, and the ability to never love anything. I said that wrong. Being the best required a few things from him: steady work, practice, and the ability to never love anyone or anything. Enter Michaela, a beautiful woman with a good heart. Michaela was a good person, but she had a bad habit of falling in with the wrong people. Michaela was attracted to the bad boy type of guy who treated her terribly. They say opposites attract. JJ and Michaela fell for each other almost instantly, and that love couldn't have come at a better time for both of them. The downside to this was that both of them brought baggage from their dangerous lifestyles to the relationship. That old baggage puts both of them directly in the lines of fire. Here's a sample from the book.
This title was narrated with virtual voice, computer generated narration for audiobooks. Gun for Hire by Kareem Rockman. Prelude. Look at this fucking guy, man. Here's a guy who does everything a man is supposed to do. Has a job, a wife, 3 kids. The man goes to work every single day and works his ass off for $12 an hour. Never been into anything illegal. Hell, he probably never even thought about doing anything illegal. He is the perfect model for what America says a tax-paying citizen should be. A stone cold square. The square does everything he's supposed to do, the exact way that it's supposed to be done. And what does life give him for living the correct way? Shit, guy lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in the worst part of the city, up to his neck in unpaid debt, and just for laughs, his wife is cheating on him with his best friend. God sure has a strange sense of humor. His situation is bad, but that's not even the worst part of this guy's life. The worst part is that he's going to be killed today. That sorry son of a bitch doesn't even have a clue that today is the day that he's going to meet his maker. Look at him, taking out the trash on the job. A cold fucking square. That's not even in his job description, but he does it every single day anyway. That's just the kind of person he is. And his reward for being a good person? Getting his fucking head blown off in broad daylight by a total stranger. Oh, you're probably wondering how I know that this guy's going to die today, huh? That's easy. It's because I'm going to be the one to push this guy's top back. I'm not mad at him. I'm not robbing him. This guy had wronged me in no way at all. He's never even seen me before. I'm ending this man's life because I was paid to do so. The crazy part about this is that the man who paid me to end this guy's life today probably deserves to die more than the guy that's about to get killed. Ironic, huh? That's none of my business, though. I was taught not to have any opinion about the client or the mark. My only goal is to do the job that I was tasked with. Period, point blank. And that is exactly what I do every single job. Kill with no remorse, fear, or even considerable thought about what I'm about to do, nor what I have done. I'm what the underworld calls a gun for hire. Basically, I am what my job title says. Sounds kind of fucked up, right? You're probably saying, for a person to be in this type of occupation, he must have had some really fucked up shit happen to him in his past. If that is what you're thinking, you would be wrong. September 1994. Jimmy Johnson Jr., aka JJ, was born on July 4, 1980, at Temple University Hospital in North Philadelphia. He was the first child of his parents, Jimmy S.R. and Lavette. Being pregnant with Jimmy Jr. was the cause of the rushed marriage between his mother and father. They had a shotgun wedding. Literally. Big Jimmy was a senior at Villanova University when he met Lavette, who was an 18-year-old freshman at the same university. Jimmy impregnated Lavette the first night they ever slept together. He skipped town without looking back the second he graduated. Lavette dropped out of school and went back home to her parents afterward. Lavette had her son alone at the hospital months later. She loved her son from the moment she laid eyes on him. She wanted to give her child the world. The fact that she would never be able to tell him who his father was made her depressed. She went back home to her parents after delivering the baby. Lavette laid in bed all day and did nothing. She wouldn't even get out of the bed to feed the baby. The depression had gotten the better of Lavette. Her mother ended up caring for her newborn child. Lavette's father was pissed off about the whole situation. He decided to take matters into his own hands. He hired a private investigator to track down the father of his grandson. The PI came back with information telling him that Jim Johnson could be found down in Paterson, New Jersey. Grandpa took a solo trip down to Paterson, NJ. He was solo, but he wasn't alone. Grandpa had his faithful shotgun he'd named Killer by his side. Grandpa had used Killer on more than one occasion and definitely did not have a problem using him again if need be. Grandpa went to the address that the private investigator had given him and knocked on the door. When Jimmy answered the door, he was staring directly at a double-barrel shotgun. Grandpa informed Jimmy that he was going to go to Philly and do right by his daughter and grandson. Jimmy did what he was told to. He didn't put up any kind of argument either. Not only did Jimmy do what was right by his new family, he married Lavette and began providing for his family like...
That was Guns for Hire by Kareem Rahman. And once again, the topic for tonight is, what does ass taste like to you? Chicken is not an acceptable answer. Chicken won't be accepted as an answer. And there's another zone I want to do. Okay. There's only did one part on this zone. And the zone did one part. Let's see. Two. You don't have no audible. That's messed up. I don't know why I don't do that. Yeah. So I ain't gonna do that because if I can't do both of them together, then because they ain't even really giving you much. I would want the person to listen. All right, then let's just see what happens. I'll do the part that I can. So part 2 is you can get the book in Kindle. It's only in Kindle, and that's $2.99 if you read it free with Amazon Prime. I'm gonna just do part 1. I would have wanted to do both of them. So. That cat really be acting like she got a job. Like she be snoring like she had a hard day at work. Alright. The Kindle is 99 cents and you get it free with Amazon Prime. The audio book, they had a membership trial going on. We discussed that. If you missed it, ask a classmate. And the paperback is $9.99. This is the description. Trapped is the story of a single mother trying her best to raise 3 kids on her own, the best way that she can, but trying to manage some sort of a love life for herself. Trapped is the first installment in the series of books that will take you through the trials and tribulations of Zakia, a young woman who was on her way down a very dark and destructive path. Kia tries her best to turn things around and become that strong example for her kids as to how they should live their lives. As Kia tries to change her own and her kids' lives for the better, she's constantly bombarded by changes and situations that threaten to take away her sanity. Kia thinks she's strong enough to handle anything, but some things that happen to her make her wonder how strong she really is. This came from the Kareem douchebag. He said this. This trap series might easily be my best work to date. Every character has a purpose in the story, and most will be connected to the big picture of the story when everything is said and done. You may not be able to see how instrumental the character is to the story at first glance, but believe me, by the time the story wraps up, you will see. This guy's really a douchebag. As the series progresses, I think you will be surprised by how well everyone and everything connects. This is the preview from the book. Track.
This is Audible.
Yorkbound Publications presents Trapped. Written by Kareem Abdul-Rahman. Narrated by J.J. Travis. Trapped is a work of fiction. Names, characters, and events are from the author's imagination or used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people or events is purely coincidental. Yorkbound Publications. Copyright 2015 by Yorkbound Enterprise. Table of Contents. Chapter 1. Strong Independent Black Woman. Chapter 2. Life of Her Own at the Same Time. There will be many subplots and twists through a long book. I would that Big Cartel's 12-year-old boys hanging with their older brother would not have been a big deal. That wasn't the case for little E. Justin was his idol. He'd always wanted to be just like Justin. Ever Chapter 1. Strong, independent black woman. Little E jumped out of bed and headed for the bathroom with a huge grin on his face. He was going to get to hang with his older brother Justin today. Not just for a little while, but for the whole day. To most 12-year-old boys, hanging with their older brother would not have been a big deal. That wasn't the case for little E. Justin was his idol. He'd always wanted to be just like Justin, ever since he could remember anything. Justin lived with his dad during school time. Little E only got to see his brother during the weekends and summertime, when he came to spend the summer at their house. If it was left up to little E, he would spend every minute of every day with Justin. He could never do that, though. Justin was wildly popular everywhere he went. He lived in Cleveland with his dad, where he was very popular at. And Justin was just as popular here in the suburbs of Pennsylvania. Everybody knew and loved him. Justin was one of those dudes that had something about him that attracted people to him. Justin played every sport that you could think of. Not only was he good at every sport, Justin excelled in them shits. He was a special kind of talent. Justin's talent did not go unnoticed either. He had a football scholarship to attend USC next year. He was probably going to end up starting for the basketball squad too. This was going to be Justin's last summer in Philly for a while. He was probably going to be spending his summer in Cleveland with his dad or stay away at school. Little E knew it, which was why him getting to spend some time with his older brother was so important to him. Little E was nothing like his older brother. Even at 12 years old, he was considered short. Very short, as a matter of fact. He was terrible in sports and very shy and quiet. That athletic and popular gene that Justin possessed had definitely come from Justin's dad. Little E wasn't lucky enough to inherit the athletic or popular gene from his own deadbeat dad. What little E lacked in athletics, he more than made up for it in the brains department. Little E was a smart little dude. While kids his own age was out. You've reached the end of this preview. To listen to the full.
That's the end of that. But The Kindle is free if you have Amazon Prime, 99 cents if you want to buy the Kindle version. The audio book is free with a membership trial, and the paperback is $9.99. It's two parts, but like I said, the second part is not in audio, so do not with that. And go back to let's go to others. Excuse me. Excuse me. Let's go to this is a whole like a like the Twilight Zone, and then they had different episodes. So this is my version of my Twilight Zone. It's called Strange Acquaintances. It's like the episode, the title is on the Twilight Zone, and then they have each name for each episode. This one is called Strange Acquaintances, and this volume is volume 1, The Stockholm Syndrome. You can get it. You can buy it at Kindle for 99 cents. You get the free deal with the audio book, and so on and so forth. It's not in paperback. It's really short. The whole the whole Strange Acquaintances series is short books. This has let me get the time. It has a listening time of only 38 minutes. It's really short. They used the other junk for like 5 hours and shit like that. But here's the description. Melody is a 29-year-old postal worker who lives a pretty routine life. The most action Mel usually got was the frequent arguments with Gary, her ex-boyfriend. Melody's routine life is interrupted when unexpected events enter her peaceful existence. Mel is pushed to her wits' end as she attempts to make sense out of the events that take place over the course of the night. The events leave Mel wondering what is real and what is part of her imagination. This story will likely make the reader feel the same way. Let's get into the sample.
This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Stockholm Syndrome by Louis Leach III and York-bound Publications. York-bound Publications presents Strange Acquaintances, Volume 1, The Stockholm Syndrome. Written by Louis Leach III. Edited by York-bound Publications and Sakina Cornelius. York-bound Publications. No parts of this book may be reproduced or transmitted without written permission from the author. Copyright C 2023 by York-bound Enterprise. Volume 1, 1. The Stockholm Syndrome by Louis Leach III. 2. Deception. 3. Food stamp whore. The Stockholm Syndrome. B.Y. Louis Leach III. Chapter 1. Melody smiled and silently counted down as she stared at the clock on the wall. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the goddamn confetti. She was out of this joint. Melody's 3-day weekend was officially here, and Mel planned on making the most out of every damn minute of it. Melody Lawson was a 29-year-old African-American woman who didn't have much of a life going on outside of her job at the post office. The 4 hours that Mel did customer service for return packages and other services was usually the best part of her day. The other 4 hours of the day were mostly...
Yeah, I'm sorry the sample's so short, but these some short stories. But that was part 1, The Stockholm Syndrome. Part 2 of Strange Acquaintances is called one of my favorites. Strange Acquaintances, Volume 2, Old Ronaldo at a Farm. The Kindle is $4.99. You get it free if you got Amazon Prime. audiobook is free with the membership, and what they got down here, you can buy it for $9.99. Because they talking about buy a membership. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But it's no paperback for this joint, because like I said, it's part of the Strange Acquaintances series. They're all really short. This is the description. In episode 2 of the Strange Acquaintances series of short stories, readers are in episode 2 of the Strange Acquaintances series of short stories, readers are introduced to Ronaldo, a real player and ladies man. Ronaldo's world is turned upside down when he meets a woman in a red dress during a wild night in Paris. Ronaldo begins to question what is real and what is a figment of his own imagination. The woman in the red dress makes Ronaldo second guess everything he thought he knew about himself. Ren drives himself crazy trying to figure out what's real and what is fake. It's almost like someone else is in control of his life and he's just a piece on the checkers board. Almost like his whole life was being hacked into by a bunch of weirdos. This is a sample from the book.
This title was narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Strange Acquaintances by Louis Leach III. Episode 2, O Ronaldo by Louis Leach III. Strange Acquaintances, written by Louis Leach III. Copyright 2025 by Yorkbound Enterprise, all rights reserved. Any similarities to actual people or events is purely coincidental and from the author's imagination. O Ronaldo is a work of fiction dedicated to all the winners and the losers. Table of Contents. Chapter 1, Newfangled. Chapter 2, Road to Redemption. Chapter 3, Mucho Trang Kilo. Chapter 1, Newfangled. Today started off just like any other day for 45-year-old Ronaldo P. Rice Jr. Wake up, get dressed, go to work, and be the full-time player that he was. Ronaldo walked through the doors of the factory like he owned the place. It kind of seemed like he did sometimes though, because everyone always went out of their way to speak to him or be around him. Ronaldo didn't own the place, but he was considered royalty around these parts.
That was the end of it.
This title was narrated with
that was the
virtual.
end of it. That was the end of it. These joints are short, so they ain't gonna really give you a lot of it. That's messed up. But they are really short. This one has a listening time of 28 minutes. They're really short, but they supposed to be because it's like the Twilight Zone. 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like the Twilight Zone. But anyway, let's go on to volume 3. Volume 3. This is Strange Acquaintances, Volume 3. It is titled Gobbles, Gobbles, Johnson and the Dick Watchers. Gobbles, Gobbles, Johnson and the Dick Watchers. You can get the Kindle for $4.99. You can buy it or you get it free with Amazon Prime. The audio book is free with the $7.95 trial. And it does have a buy price down there. It'd be $12.99 if you want to buy the Audible. And this is the description. In Volume 3 of the Strange Acquaintances series, the reader will be introduced to 45-year-old mother of 2, Tamiko Chance. Tamiko's life is forever affected by childhood trauma suffered at the hands of loved and trusted ones. Those trauma issues suffered in the past lead to the things Tamiko and her sidekicks are into to this day. It has a listening time of 55 minutes. And here's a sample. What you want, dog?
This title is narrated with virtual voice, Computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Strange Acquaintances by Lou Isleach III. Volume: 3. Gobbles, Gobbles Johnson and the Watchers. Written by Lou Isleach III. Gobbles, Gobbles Johnson and the Watchers is a work of fiction. Names, characters, and events are from the author's imagination or used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people or events is purely coincidental. No parts of this book may be reproduced or transmitted without consent from the author, except in the case of small quotes used for reviews. York-bound Publications. Copyright 2025 by York-bound Enterprise. Table of Contents. Chapter 1, Trauma. Chapter 2, Moving On Up. Chapter 3, A Legend is Born. Gobble Gobble. Chapter 4, Twisted. No evil can stop God's plan. Chapter 1, Trauma. Gigi looked at the lottery ticket in her hand in total disbelief. She was certain that she had to be overlooking something. She looked at the winning combination of numbers on her laptop again, before looking at the ticket in her hand once again. 382516-9-62-3. Gigi mouthed the numbers in silence. The ticket she was holding had every one of those numbers, even the Powerball number, 3. Gigi sat there for 5 more minutes checking the winning numbers, and then checking the number on her ticket. She tried her hardest to find the mistake. I mean, there clearly had to be one. There was no way in hell that she just hit the damn Powerball. Most people would have found it hard to believe they were holding a winning Powerball ticket. Gigi was just like most people. Except her disbelief ran a little deeper than most. Gigi believed that she was the type of person that things like this didn't happen to. Things like this usually happen to other people, not her. As far as Gigi was concerned, the only luck that ever came her way was bad. Tamiko Chance was born and raised in North Philadelphia.
That was volume 3 of the Strange Acquaintances series. It's called, God, sound like Emmy Smith. That was volume 3 of the Strange Acquaintances series. It's titled Gobbles, Gobbles Johnson and the Dick Watchers. Amazon may or may not add the word dick after the and before watchers. It might. I'm gonna do something else. This joint's gonna take a little time because I'm gonna give you more of a book. I think of like 3 chapters and shit. I want you to check out P.D. Papers, man. It's a good joint. It's a good joint. P.D. motherfucking Papers. It's a good joint. It's like 3 chapters, so you know, I mean, it's the listening time and shit. So I don't know, but before I get into PD Papers, the topic of the I can't see the screen angle back there. I'm trying to find this job. The topic of the night is, what does ass taste like? Chicken is not an option. Chicken is not an option. What does ass taste like? Okay, it's 3 joints to PD Papers. I can't really tell you how. Okay, yes, I can tell you the running time. This first one is 14 minutes. The second one is 39 minutes, and the third one is 21 minutes. I appreciate you for being here. If you don't sit through this, but after these 3 joints, I'm out. We started from the beginning.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. https://www.youtube.com/channel/ukoala3splitsio4ja43sw. Getting to the paper. Episode 1, Summer, 2002 recap. Amanda was a 16-year-old little suburban white girl who longed for the hood life. Amanda got a small taste of what she longed for when she met a black girl named Kim from Philly, who had recently been transferred to her high school. Kim was a hustler. She used her connections from the city to bring weed to the suburban town to sell. Kim quickly learned that there was more money in selling cocaine to her classmates, including Amanda. Kim and Amanda got close. It wasn't too long before Amanda began selling cocaine with Kim. Amanda wanted more of the hood life, so she began hanging out in clubs in Philly. At one of her club outings, she got pregnant during a one-night stand by an older guy who she didn't even know. Back in the suburbs, Kim graduated high school, left the little town, and headed off to college. Kim was Amanda's connect to the strut life and her avenue to make some money for herself. Amanda needed money now more than ever. When her parents found out Amanda was pregnant, they kicked her out of the house. Amanda found shelter, moving in with her friend Kayler, who lived up the street, but Amanda still had no income. She called up Kim and asked her for a favor. Kim was completely out of the game, but she did do Amanda a solid and introduced her to her cousin Reggie. Reggie was the guy who used to supply Kim back when Kim was selling drugs. Reggie was a bad guy. He was a petty stick-up kid turned small-time drug dealer. Reggie was also a violent person who had killed people for messing up his money before. Reggie ended up giving Amanda $10,000 worth of cocaine to sell for him. Amanda was happy. She had employment again, and she was hoping to save up enough money so she could move out of Kaylee's mother's house and find a place of her own for herself and her unborn child to live. Things went left for Amanda when Kaylee found Amanda's stash of drugs, stole the drugs, and then skipped town with her drug addict friends. Amanda was in big trouble. She owed a very dangerous man a lot of money, and even worse, she had no way at all to pay him his money back. It was surely only a matter of time before Reggie came looking for her. Instead of hiding and trying to stay as far away from Philly and Reggie as possible, Amanda decided to head straight into the eye of the storm. She went to Philly in search of the father of her child, who she did not know. Amanda tracked down the father of her unborn child. His name was Pitbull. Amanda quickly found out that Pitbull was everything the hood was really all about, not the shit she'd seen on television. Both were broke, but Pitbull's scheming, conniving, and scamming helped the two to quickly rise in the street life. Pitbull made a bunch of enemies along the way also. Amanda and Pitbull were on top of things for a minute. In the midst of their rise to power, the couple's child was born. A son who the couple named after his father, Irvin Petey Thompson. Pitbull's scheming past caught up to him while Petey was still very young. Pitbull was arrested and eventually sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Don't forget. Sorry about that. Don't forget, the question of the night is, what does ass taste like? If you forgot, you can go, remember why this is playing. This would be a good time to eat ass and listen to the book while you eat it. But remember what it tastes like, then tell it. But don't be shy. This is the Positive Network. No one says he's going to judge you. Not me, anyway.
Amanda managed to escape being arrested for the moment, but she was a young woman, with no money, and a young child to care for. Life was going to be really tough, for her and young Petey. Amanda and Petey.
Now that is my John. Let me see. That ain't my John. That ain't my John. I can't control what somebody else John is doing in their building. I'm sorry.
Ended up finding what was supposed to be temporary shelter in the Fairhill Projects in North Philadelphia. This was different from the sheltered life that young Petey had been raised in, as he quickly discovered. Petey and Amanda befriended the neighbors who lived in the apartment right next door to theirs. Single
Nobody else lives in this building, by the way.
Mother of two kids, Beatrice, her daughter, Sharita, who was 5 years older than 8-year-old Petey, and Beatrice's son, Walter, who was the same age as Petey. Petey had a crush on Sharita from the moment he laid eyes on her, even though she was much too old to even pay any attention to Petey. Walter, however, became Petey's new best friend. Walter was a weird dude and he was very small. That made him a target to the bullies in the neighborhood. Petey became the target of the bullies by extension. Being Walter's friend came with that price. Walter went out of his way to avoid the neighborhood bullies. After getting beat up by the bullies one time, Petey knew avoiding them was not the way he wanted to live his life. Petey knew he needed to learn how to protect himself. He did just that when he met an odd man named Karate Ken. Petey became Ken's #1 student and quickly learned martial arts. Petey used what he just learned on the leader of the neighborhood bullies. After beating up the neighborhood tough guy, things in the hood were looking up for Petey, and Walter, by extension. Meanwhile, Amanda was looking for a way to make some money. When the feds locked Pitbull up, they took everything the couple had saved from their illegal ventures over the years. Amanda was back at square one. What's worse was Amanda couldn't even get a legal job if she wanted to because she was currently wanted by the law. Amanda tapped her inner hustler once again and got busy. She opened up a speakeasy in her apartment. The money started flowing in once again. When it did, Amanda tried to give Petey all of the things that she couldn't afford just a few months prior. Having a bunch of unknown people at
Okay, y'all, I lied. I'm gonna be out after this song because I'm feeling myself getting very tired. I'm feeling myself getting very tired. And we at 5:24. We go into 14:09. So it's about 9 minutes left.
at your place is not really a good idea, especially when your place is filled with nice things. A lesson Amanda learned the hard way. Amanda's place was robbed. She quickly went out in search of revenge on the culprits. Amanda ended up in jail. Petey ended up growing up having both of his parents in prison. Petey was now being raised by Amanda's next-door neighbor B. Walter began being mixed up in the street life. By the age of 13, Walter was a name people around the way spoke of with respect. Petey tried to stay away from the street life and focus on school. But when Petey saw an opportunity to make some money that seemed to carry no risk at all, he couldn't help but to take it. Petey's opportunity ended up putting Walter in a jam. To save Petey, Walter ended up killing his boss. Petey continued his career in the street life after Walter had to flee because he was wanted for murder. Petey ended up getting locked up at 13 years old. Petey came home from prison and moved in with Amanda, who had recently been released from prison herself. Amanda laid down 2 simple rules for living under her roof. 1. No drugs, and 2. Get a job. Petey broke rule number 1 almost immediately when he came up off of a small amount of cocaine that might get him on his feet quickly. Petey had a chance meeting with a guy named James Gentry. Gentry was some kind of a big shot in the neighborhood. Petey had no idea what Gentry did for a living, but when he offered Petey a legal job, Petey jumped at the opportunity. Petey's first day on the job was supposedly to be training. While on the job at the very first day, Petey found himself being asked to kill a man for a reason he did not know. Petey was torn between doing the right thing or showing loyalty to his new mysterious boss. Decisions. As Petey looked over at Rocco, he could clearly see that Rocco was dead serious. This little legal job that Petey had taken thinking this was the first step to getting on the right path, was beginning to look like it was about to turn into some of the most criminal shit he'd ever done in his life. If Petey wasn't so shook right now, he would have laughed at the irony. Petey's thoughts quickly shifted once again. What the fuck would happen if...
This is all part 2, and this is you can only listen to this one right here at YouTube. Kareem Rockmine is the page, but it's the Yorkbound, publication page is where the books and stuff be at in YouTube form. I give away like free chapters. It's over there. Just like and subscribe. Like, you ain't got like, just subscribe, and you can see when I'm put the new chapters. But this is part 2. Part 1 you would have to read at Amazon or listen to at Amazon, and then part 2 you can come over here. You should read part 1 first. You really should. But part 2 you can come over here and listen to this for free. I got 3 parts of part 2 on here. Well, you can listen
happened
to
to him
up to
if he
3
didn't shoot
parts.
this guy? Was Rocco going to kill him right here on the spot? Or maybe Gentry would have him killed at a later time. Maybe Gentry would send someone to his house to kill him, which would put his mom in jeopardy also, and she had nothing at all to do with any of this shit. What kind of shit had he got himself into here? Petey was beginning to panic. That panic made the decision for Petey. He took one more look at the gun before he raised it and put it to the head of the unfortunate gentleman currently tied up in the chair. Petey told the guy that this was just business and not personal. He didn't say it with words. He'd said it with his eyes in hopes that the guy would be able to interpret the message before Petey sent him to the afterlife. Petey pulled the trigger. The gun made a clicking noise and he could feel that the pin had hit the hammer. It clicked as if it had been fired. But why the hell hadn't anything come out of the barrel? Before Petey could think about it any further, he heard the sound of Rocco laughing loudly. Seconds later, the little white boy joined in. And after a few more seconds, even the guy tied up in the chair was laughing through the ropes that gagged his mouth. You better check yourself and make sure you didn't shit your pants, Rocco said in between laughs as he bent over trying to catch his breath. Petey stood there with the gun in his hands, clearly still confused by what was going on. Petey's confusion grew 20 times larger when the white boy that had been standing next to him began untying the man sitting in the chair. Rocco, still laughing uncontrollably, walked up to Petey and took the gun out of his hand. Petey looked at him as he removed the silencer from the weapon and put it back into his pocket. Petey smirked before he finally spoke. So this was some kind of initiation, huh? Rocco finally stopped laughing as he placed his 9mm in its original resting spot in the small of his back. No, this is payback for you being an asshole. Petey nodded. He had been kind of rubbing the beating he put on Rocco back at the strip club in his face all day. Okay, I admit, I probably deserved that. But what's going on here? Just as Petey said that, the man who had once been tied in the chair and looking like he'd been severely beaten returned. His face now miraculously showed no signs of the beating Petey assumed he'd taken before he'd arrived. Rocco nodded his head in the guy's direction. That right there is Lenny, and the skinny dickhead is Hank. They're actors in a production that Mr. Gentry is going to be putting on at the club later this week. Hank nodded before he spoke up. So I'm guessing the new makeup is acceptable? Rocco nodded his head vigorously. Acceptable is an understatement. That shit is outstanding. Mr. Gentry is going to be floored when he sees this shit. Rocco, Lenny, and Hank stood around talking about the production for a few minutes before Rocco went into his pockets and broke the pair off some money from his bankroll. A few minutes later, him and Petey were on their way out the door. Petey left out of the house more confused about his job and what exactly it was than he had been when he walked up in here. Pitbull sat in the bare room of his cell block acting like he was watching television. Pitbull wasn't watching TV though. He was watching everything and everyone around him. Plotting. Pitbull had not changed one bit in the 10 years he'd been locked up. He was still always plotting and looking for some type of scam to come up off of. Pitbull had originally been sentenced to a 10-year prison sentence. That was for the RICO case he got caught up in. The feds ended up hitting Pitbull with a separate charge for having false IDs after he was convicted in the RICO case. The fact that they waited to charge him with the IDs after he already had one conviction under his belt indicated that the government was out to get Pitbull. He took a plea to get the first 10, but decided to fight the second case. That didn't work out so well for him. Because of his record, he got 7 years on that charge. A person with no criminal record probably would have got between 6 to 18 months for the same charge if they got hit with any time at all. The judge decided to run Pitbull's 2 sentences consecutive, meaning he wouldn't start serving the 7-year sentence until he finished serving the 10-year sentence. That was 17 altogether. Maybe 14 and some change if he managed to collect any good time, which it was looking like he was not, because Pitbull was always in some shit. Hell, he didn't follow the rules on the streets. What the hell made you think that he would turn into a law-abiding citizen just because he was behind bars? Either way, the government had it in for Pitbull, and they slapped him upside the head pretty hard. Pitbull was not one to ever let anyone get the best of him. Not even the government. Pitbull had no intention at all of doing his entire 17-year bid. Pitbull didn't even plan on giving the government any more than the 10 he'd already served. Pitbull had a plan that he hoped would get him out the door a lot sooner than he was supposed to. Amanda had a man. She was happy about it too. Amanda was only 34 years old, even though it felt like she'd lived at least twice that long. Amanda's current boyfriend Bryce was someone she'd met shortly after she got out of prison. Bryce used to work at Amanda's job before he just randomly quit one day. Bryce had been attracted to Amanda from day one and she knew it. She'd always managed to keep him at arm's length without having him completely walk out of her life though. At first it was because Amanda had just come home from prison and figured that she needed to get herself right before she even considered allowing herself to get into a situation. Around the time Amanda was getting used to being a free woman and beginning to adjust to her new life, another obstacle came between her and Bryce. Petey. Amanda was not going to bring a situation between her and the son she was attempting to rekindle a relationship with. Once again, Bryce got put on the back burner. Amanda wanted to wait until Petey got a chance to adjust to the outside world and adjust to being around her again before she decided to step into a relationship of any kind. Now that Petey had a job, Amanda knew that it was her time. Petey seemed to be on the right track now, so it was time for Mama to get her groove back. Amanda was waiting for the right time to introduce Bryce to her son. She hoped that things would go well when the two met. Her new man and her only child getting along meant everything to Amanda. She had no idea what she would do if the two didn't hit it off. But she figured she'd cross the bridge when she got to it. She hoped like hell that it never got to that. Stay tuned for episode 2 coming soon. Yorkbound
There you
Publications.
go right here. It's on it's right here. But anyway, that was part 2 of P. Papers episode 1. And I think you should read P. Papers part 1 before you start part 2. But you can do what you want. You grown. But I think you should read part 1 before you read part 2. And like I said, I was signing off after that, y'all, and I am. I just wanted to see one thing so I could tell you something. If you didn't get a chance to comment about what ass tastes like tonight, before you go to sleep tonight, eat some ass and let us know in the comment section. This John should be up on my page, on this page that you're on right now, in 24 hours. You just have to don't search the other videos. When you get to the top of the joint, just push live, and these joints will be up there. And I'm gonna have them titled. This one, the title of this one is gonna be something which you gonna know which one it was. And I am signing off, and I thank you all for listening. I am out. Now, how do I turn this shit off, man? I don't need that to go, man. Wait a second. Oh, wait, that can't. Where am I? Peace.
Here's his plans.
Let's see.